Good morning, internet, or night, or afternoon, or whatever. My name is Big Nicky Fresh, and today I'm going to be telling you all about my terrible tattoo apprenticeship. As a disclaimer, I know a lot of older tattoo artists will probably watch this and be like, it's always been like that, you shouldn't complain, you have to earn your title and stuff like that. I get it. I completely understand. However, it is not like that anymore. And my situation at my old place was just such a train wreck. I feel the need to talk about it so that up and coming artists and people who want to get into this and people who are into this can listen to this and be like, that happened to me too, that's terrible, and connect with that, or just know what to look for if you're trying to get an apprenticeship and you want to be in a good place that'll actually teach you stuff. So let's jump in. So I'm a licensed tattoo artist in Connecticut, and I am not going to name names or shops or anything like that because fear. I will start with how this all started and just kind of go down the timeline, I guess. So I knew I wanted to be a tattoo artist since I was a small child, and I started doing this and venturing out into this world literally right after high school. I graduated and I was like, it's time. No college, just this was my plan, pretty much. So I did what you're supposed to do, and I made a portfolio of all of my work and all sorts of flash and a variety and styles, the whole bit. I put this whole thing together, and in my area I jumped from shop to shop. I got tattooed at places, I called people, I showed up to places, and I was like, yo, I want to be involved. I've always wanted to be involved. Was a lot of the time, most of the time they were like, nah. Primarily because I think I was so young. I just turned 19, I think, and they were like, nah. But also it's just notoriously difficult to get an apprenticeship nowadays. I guess forever. I don't know. So I was desperate. In this one shop I entered, and I was like, yo, what's up? I want to be involved. And the woman who owned it immediately was like, yep, you're on. Didn't even look at my artwork. That's a major red flag. She didn't look at my artwork or anything, but she was like, yeah, for sure. Sure. Yeah. Meet with me XYZ whatever day, and we'll go through stuff, and I'll look at your work, I guess. She was just kind of you could tell she didn't actually care to look at my work, even though I put so much effort into it, and they should be looking at that. So some time passes, and I go to this meeting, and she sits me down, and she's going through what I'm gonna learn, how it's gonna work. She gave me a contract to look over, and I have it. I have my old contract still, so we're gonna go through that. But I put my portfolio together and I showed it to her, and she just kind of glanced over it and was like, yeah, that's cool, but yeah, you can start next week if you want. What's your schedule gonna be? She very, very clearly wasn't actually looking at it or reviewing it or anything. It was just okay, yeah, that's cool. Anyway, before I even looked through the contract, she immediately was like, all right, I'm gonna charge you for this. I was like, okay, how much? She was like, you're gonna pay me $3,500 for this apprenticeship. This is a controversial one because some people do pay for apprenticeships. Traditionally, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to essentially work for free. It's kind of like an internship, I guess. It's different, state by state, person by person, I guess. So all I'm gonna say is, in my area, typically you don't pay for them, at least not that much. I have a lot of friends in the industry down here, and they were all when I told them about this, they were like, oh. So she was like, yeah, I'm gonna charge you $3,500. And I was 19, and I was like, this is basically like college, but for tattooing, I guess. So sure. And I was just like, here you go. Regret. So one of the major red flags that I probably should have paid a little bit more attention to, she made me sign a no-compete agreement, which if you start an apprenticeship, and they ask you to do that right off the bat, I mean, you do you, but run away, because I regretted that very heavily. So the no-compete agreement basically was a crappy little piece of paper with like a typed up statement on it that stated, after the termination of this contract, so like after I quit or leave or whatever, you are not allowed to work at any other shop within a 50-mile radius for 1 year. Again, I live in Connecticut. Connecticut is small, so that would take me like all the way out wherever. So my dumbass, I was just so excited to be involved in the industry and start this little journey that I was like, yeah, I'll sign anything, let's go. And I wish I could go back in time and smack the shit out of myself, because that was not wise of me. So don't, if you want to start somewhere and they're like, yo, sign this mysterious contract, think about it a little first. So another red flag about this contract, I'm looking at it right now, and it's basically a binder with like 100 pages in it, all sorts of random crap. I can't really show them to you because the name of the shop is like plastered all over it. But one of the things included in this contract and information set was required reading and required movie watching. And you're probably thinking like, oh, like, she'd make you read books about like tattooing and watch movies and documentaries about tattooing, right? No. Nope, they did not. I have the list in front of me. I'll just read off a few of these to you. A Clockwork Orange, Breakfast Club, Dog Day Afternoon, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Groundhog Day, Grease, Little Shop of Horrors, Nosferatu, Pulp Fiction, Sandlot, Scarface, 16 Candles, The Godfather, all of them. Woodstock, Young Frankenstein, Zoolander, Xanadu, The Blues Brothers, Beverly Hills Cop, Fight Club, Forrest Gump, Jerry Maguire, Kindergarten Cop, National Lampoon's Vacation, all of them. Purple Rain, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, The Lost Boys, The Goonies, The Green Mile, The Yellow Submarine, Train Spotting, It Literally Framed Roger Rabbit. It just keeps going. I hope you know that this list, by the way, is 5 pages long, and there are like 200 movies on here, and it was a requirement that I watch all of them and check them off as I go along. So that was a really weird thing that no studio should ever have. Like, okay, this is an example of part of the list. Super weird. And the books that she had me read had nothing to do with tattooing, by the way. It was like books on modern Buddhism and like philosophy books and stuff that literally had nothing to do with tattooing at all. And I had to, like, she would frequently check in and be like, you watch any of those movies? Tell me about it, reference it. She would like test me. And basically, I had to watch these just so I could understand her references. So moving on, I was at this place for about almost 3 years. I lasted longer than every single person that came in through there, because I am resilient. And I just wanted my license so bad, dog. So what would happen during my apprenticeship is that whenever she ran out of money, she would bring on another apprentice. So like at one time, I think there were like 3 apprentices at least in the building, which is another red flag, by the way. Like if you're trying to get into a place and they already have 1 or more, like, I don't know. This doesn't go for everyone, but like, it was just weird. Because the money that she would charge these people, again, $3,000, $3,500, like it didn't go towards our learning or like the shop or anything like that. She would coincidentally go on a vacation every time she brought a new apprentice on, like to another country, or like she liked going on psychedelic retreats and did that a lot. So it was just kind of fishy, you know? In addition to having multiple apprentices, like we didn't learn anything. The contract stated like, oh, I'm gonna teach you how to do this at this rate, and then we're gonna do this, and like parts of the contract looked enticing. Like it was like, yo, here's like a list of things you're gonna learn this week, this month, like here's how to do this, and this, like you're gonna learn this and stuff. None of that ever happened. For 6 months, probably more than that, I sat on the couch in the front room and did nothing. I literally didn't do anything. And I would frequently ask like, yo, can I like at least, like practice on an orange or something? She'd be like, no. Like would come in, first off, we opened up at noon. I was the only one in at noon. Like, once I got a key, I was the only one there, which in this state, by the way, you are not supposed to leave apprentices alone at all. Like, I don't know how it is other places, but I learned afterwards when I was at when I'm at a better shop, like, you're not supposed to do that. I was alone like 80% of the time there doing whatever. And she was just like, it's fine, don't worry about it. But like, I would come in at noon, I would open up, she would come in at like 2 or 3, come do a tattoo or 2, and then leave. Like, I didn't do anything. And the contract also stated like, I'll buy you your first machine and your first inks, and I'll like help you with the practice skins and stuff like that. That didn't happen. What ended up happening was, after I continued to ask her over the course of like 6 to 8 months, she was like, fine, and bought me a pair of cheap coils off of Amazon, threw them at me, and was like, teach yourself. Like, I had to YouTube it. She didn't teach me anything at all. So unfortunately, like, my entire time there was wasted, and I paid $3,000 for that. So I basically YouTubed everything I learned. Like, it was distressing. And then you mix in like the other like 3 to 5 apprentices or however many were there at a time, and like they weren't learning anything and we didn't know anything. So we were like attempting to bounce information off of one another, and it was either wrong information or like we just had no idea what we were doing. So it was a whole mess of a situation. She also, like, once I finally started tattooing, made me tattoo anything and everything, no matter what. If I wasn't up for it, like skill level wise, she'd be like, you can do it. You can do it. I swear you can do it. Like, I distinctly remember this one time she left me alone with these 2 girls, and I was still like I didn't know I wasn't like great. She left me alone at night with these 2 girls, and they were like, we want crosses on our throats. Like, fine line, tiny, right on the trach. And I freaked out because I was like, I can't, I don't even know how to sit them. Like, we didn't learn anything. And it just sucked a lot because like there was a bar pretty close by, and like on multiple occasions people would either come in drunk or like come in with these crazy ideas that I just was not comfortable doing, or like, people would come in and be creepy, and she'd either leave me alone with them and make me tattoo them, or like would make me tattoo them even if they were intoxicated. And like, if I didn't, or I said no, I would get like yelled at and like reprimanded hardcore. It was a whole mess. I distinctly remember one time this guy came in and was like, hey, I want to get a tattoo on my hand. And he was like clearly like, being a little weird. And I couldn't just be like, yo, you're being weird, you want something? And I was like, okay, I guess. And she was sitting on the couch. And I was like, all right, I got to draw this up. Give me like a few minutes. And he was like, I'm gonna run across the street and have a few beers while you do that. And I was like, no. I remember directly going, no, I will not tattoo you if you drink. My boss sitting on the couch goes, yes, you will. He's not getting drunk, he's just having a drink or 2. It's fine. And like forced me to tattoo this guy. And I was like, this goes against every moral that I have. It was just so it was terrible. She also like broke the boundaries between what you like, how close you're supposed to get, and like the personal information that you would share with like your apprentices, mentor, boss relationships, whatever. I still hang out with like a lot of the ex-apprentices and ex-artists that worked with me, and like we got like our little support group. We go out for coffee and all that. There was one time that, this was like right before I started, but like one of the apprentices who is now licensed and doing well, super glad, had like basically, I don't think she was even working there very long, but our boss was like, my mom just died, you're coming to the funeral with me, and like forced her to come to her funeral and meet her whole family and stuff. There was another time where another one of the apprentices, who's also doing very well, very happy for you, girl, she like took her to her house and was, I don't know, showing her something, and like fully got undressed in front of her, like out and all, and like she quit soon after that and was like, I can't, hell no. So it was just really uncomfortable all the time. I learned way too much personal information about that woman's life. Like, morally, there was a lot of really questionable personal stuff going on. I won't touch on that too much because I'm mostly just talking about the tattooing and how that was, but like, homegirl was dating a guy that had a child and a wife and like bragged about cheating. It was a whole thing. Like, this is just the tip of the iceberg with how this went, okay? Things were also generally just like dark, dank, and unclean in there. Like, I wish I had someone to tell me warning signs ahead of time before I started at this place, because she didn't keep things very clean. She didn't wrap her machine, like she didn't wrap her station. she would like touch her face and like talk on the phone while she's tattooing people and stuff. And like, it was really rough. Like, I knew multiple people who got infections from her work and had to deal with the consequence, like suffer the consequences of that. I knew like one dude went septic at one point. Like, train wreck of a situation. She also, and we all know about this, tattooed with printer ink and like India ink at one point. Well, at one point for a long time. Like, it was like a thing that she did. And like, when I started to buy my own supplies and like get fancy stuff that was like high rated and stuff, I'd be like, oh yeah, I got, I have my own. And she'd be like, oh, but the community ink is in the back. Like, you could just use that. I have that for everybody. And I'd pick it up and it'd be literal like drawing ink, like India ink. And I'd be like, I'm good personally, thanks though. Half of her inks were expired. Like, she used expired needles, stuff like that. And I, of course, had no idea, like I didn't know anything. So luckily, I did a bunch of research. I bought all of my own stuff. I paid attention to that shit. I took my bloodborne pathogens courses and everything early. I made sure I knew what I was doing and stuff. And at one point it shifted from, I don't know anything, to, I can't believe I'm working here. I'm embarrassed to tell people I'm working here. I just need to get my license and get out. Which in my state can be a 2-year process. And I didn't know what else to do. So I stuck it out, got my license, and left literally immediately after that. Immediate. Which, of course, even leaving was terrifying, because it's sad to say it did end up being an emotionally manipulative situation. There were a lot of moments where I was guilted. Like, I've had her tell me, jokingly threaten to kill me if I leave. There were moments where she'd be like, I just care about you so much. I love you so much. You can't ever leave me. Why does everybody leave me? Every time an apprentice would leave or someone would leave, she would get all upset and be like, why does everyone leave me? And it's that's not normal. You shouldn't do that to people. Maybe. So by the time I left, I was horrified, having nightmares, panic attacks. I would go for interviews at other places when I was licensed and be like, hi, I'm here, I'm so excited. And then I would go home and be like, ah. So that was tough. I just know so many people who were in my situation and started there because they were so excited and finally found a place that would take them, and things just went downhill so fast. And I felt so awful for every person that ever started there under the same circumstances as me. And every single time there were people my age, young people, between the ages of 19 and 22, really. And it's just sad. It was just a really terrible, horrible situation. And I am very lucky to be licensed and working at a shop where everyone is so kind to me and so wonderful and things are done correctly, And it was never about shop duties. I liked cleaning. I didn't mind cleaning up after people, breaking up, setting down, breaking down, setting up, whatever. I didn't mind doing any of the studio chores. It was fine. I'm used to cleaning. Didn't bother me. It was just the blatant disregard for everything that is supposed to happen in the industry, and the absolute neglect and terrible stuff that happened there that really made me be nah, this is not normal. Every time I would get tattooed at a different place, I'd go talk to people in the industry and stuff, and they'd tell me about their place, and I'd be like, wow, is this actually how it's supposed to be? I was just shocked because it was so normal for other people, and I'd be sitting here getting screamed at for I don't know, drawing something she didn't like or something. That was another thing. She hated my art. She didn't like it. I was ridiculed low-key in a passive-aggressive way a lot because I didn't go to art school, and I was self-trained and stuff. So anything that I would draw was kind of, a lot of the time was oh, that's cool. Nothing she ever did was of her own drawings. A lot of it was Pinterest, a lot of it was stolen off of Google Images, and there are a million copy-paste tattoo artists out there. It was just really disheartening to see, because I never wanted to do that. I always wanted to put my own art on people and draw custom stuff. And now I do, and I'm very happy about that. It's just nothing was original over there at all. And if one of the only things she did teach me was to steal artwork, and I was like, no, I'm alright on that one. So clients were also like really uncomfortable a lot of the time there. And I was really uncomfortable a lot of the time there because the kind of words used, slurs were just thrown around. Like, it was ridiculous. I'm a queer tattoo artist. Obviously, a lot of my people are also queer. They would come in and get tattooed, and I'd have to be like, hey, if you hear homophobic or transphobic stuff in the background, I'm sorry. And it was just really embarrassing because a lot of the time you would hear some nasty stuff being thrown around in the background, and I'd just have to be like, I'm sorry, it's not me, I'm gay. It was just really distressing a lot of the time. So, long story short, this is my dream career. I would not change anything for the world. I'm so happy to be doing this, but I am very sad that my situation had to be like that. And if you want to get into this, I really hope that things go well for you. Keep an eye out for red flags, like keep an eye on the cleanliness of the shop, like how many apprentices are there. Talk to people who work there, talk to people who have worked there if you can, talk to other apprentices, like do your research, man. I'm serious, because I know that being desperate is something that I went through, and I really just wanted to be involved in the industry, and like I didn't care, and I was like, blah, blah. But like, it's not worth it. Research, look around, like please take care of yourself. I think that's pretty much it. That's not it. Like, that's just the tip of the iceberg with a lot of this stuff, but that's everything in a nutshell, pretty much. So thanks for sitting by and listening to me talk about this. I wish you all the best of luck. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and don't sign any contracts without researching them or actually reading them like I did. Have a good day, everyone. This has been Big Nicky Fresh with terrible tales in the tattoo industry. Bye.